Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of my writing corner. It's been a couple of weeks since I've recorded an episode. My day job's kept me a little bit off kilter, and my personal life has too. But um, this past week, I've gotten a little perspective. Last weekend, I was able to get some reading done on one of my books, one of the several that I'm currently working on. I also finished another audiobook. I'm on number 12 right now. I'm listening through the Raymond E. Feist series. And it's always nice to listen to other authors and read what other authors have done. Most of Feist's work was done in the early 80s, started in the early 80s, and it's been helpful. Um, it's nice to be able to see what other people have to say and how they write and describe things and whatnot. And he used a surprisingly passive voice, but his story is just incredible. It hooks you right from the beginning, and I hope that someday I can be as famous of an author as he is. Monday was the end of July, and I was able to sell a total of 40 books in the month of July while my publishing company did their summer-winter sale, which puts my total up to almost 600 copies between the 6 books that I've written. And so I was really happy about that. I also was able to start the process of getting my books set up for audio, so that my books can be made into audiobooks, which just kind of blows my mind, because 20 years ago, when I first started writing, like seriously writing, I never could have even dreamed of being published, let alone having audiobooks. Especially as a child who grew up before Google started. And to be a self-published author with 6 books, working on a 7th, and a whole lot more at this point. Also to be looking at audiobooks now, it's just amazing. I know I'll never be on the caliber of Feist or Tolkien or Martin or any of those amazing writers, but it's great to be able to say, hey, I'm published. I actually had people buy my books. And the series that I'm working on right now, it actually started and was inspired by a Japanese animation, and over time has developed into this absolutely epic saga that I'm working on. And even as I'm going through the second and third editing process and fourth editing process of the second book, I'm making a lot of changes that are going to put it on a whole different scale. And as you can see behind me, I actually now have been able to put some stuff on the board. Things that'll help keep behaviors and attitudes straight in my head while I'm sitting here and writing and editing. And it's good to have that concrete continuity, because as you're going through and writing, you don't want, this character to have that character's personalities all of a sudden, or behaviors or mannerisms. It confuses you and it confuses the readers. So having it down in print really is helping me out. Now, I may or may not record an episode next week. A very good friend of mine who actually was pretty pivotal in a lot of my earlier published work is getting married next weekend, and my children and I are going out to Tonawanda to help him celebrate his nuptials. So it may be another week, or I may adjust when I release these episodes. I don't know. I had set myself a 9 o'clock alarm for Thursdays, and I can't remember why. And it's gone off 2 weeks in a row now, and it's driving me nuts because I know I did it for a reason, but I never wrote it down anywhere, and I never labeled it in my phone. So maybe I intended to do an episode on Thursdays. I'm not sure. But with August just having started up and a few things not quite going the way that I hoped for furthering my career, I'm planning on doing another another season of my podcast as well. You can check it out on Spotify. I will add the link below so that you can listen to my ramblings as well as seeing my pretty face. But talking now and thinking about other things, it's also good to have your characters talk like normal people. And we don't always speak as eloquently as they do in books. We have lots of ums and pauses and other catchwords, for lack of a better term, where people, it's their go-to word when they're trying to collect their thoughts, or words like that. But there's even an episode on How I Met Your Mother about that one. TV shows, movies. I was rewatching for about the 50th time the Lord of the Rings series and the Hobbit series. When I first watched The Hobbit, the 3 movies, it infuriated me because they had basically taken that book and put it through a taffy puller, or so I thought. But as I've gotten into the Silmarillion and the Fall of Numenor and Tolkien's other side projects, I've realized that they incorporated those to make the story a little bit better. And after having watched The Hobbit and then going back through and watching The Lord of the Rings, it's kind of amusing as an artist to hear Gimli talk about how he wished that he could summon an army of dwarves, and then to know that they went back and made the Hobbit movies afterwards with that epic scene of the dwarves in the Battle of the Five Armies. And all of the siege engines and the tactics from the Return of the King movie. It just is overwhelming to think that, writers of that caliber exist. And I hope one day to be able to write like that, to have those epic battle scenes in my books that people actually understand and want to turn into films. That would just... And I know that the movies are seldom like the books. There are a few out there that are almost spot on, but more often than not, the book is always better. And I just hope that someday maybe my writing inspires people to think about turning it into a TV series or a movie or what have you. But I had wanted to start talking about my characters, and the one character that inspired me to start writing this Way of the Fist series was Blythe Evans Starr, who is, at the end of the day, my main character in the entire series. She was, interestingly enough, inspired by a video clip of the one of the main characters in the anime series The 12 Kingdoms. And also just this random image of a video game off of one of the anime magazines that we used to get. She started out as a different iteration, but as I started to write and I started to tell her story, things evolved, and she turned into this absolutely complex and brilliant character. She's a redhead. Yes, I know, cliche. She has emerald eyes, but in the world of Terra, she's the only person who looks like that, and there's a very specific reason for it, and you have to buy the books to understand what that reason is. But her story is really what drives the whole entire plot of the book. And whether they know it or not, every other storyline is drawn in and wraps around her main storyline. And now she believes that she's a simple martial artist who just wants to spend her days honing her skills, fighting, learning about the world, learning about herself, and she gets drawn into this epic battle of good and evil, trying to keep the world from falling apart, which, yes, I know, also cliche and a trope. But what are you gonna do? They're that way for a reason. And she just really has become an amazing character to me. I thought when I was writing the Zoe Jane files that Zoe was going to be the be-all end-all for me, and for a little while she was. But Blythe has been there with me for literally 20 years now. I created her when my youngest child was almost 2 years old. And she's become this amazing part of my life. And whether or not I realized it, I think about her more than I do almost anyone else. But I am hoping that this weekend I can spend a fair amount of my time giving her the attention that I need, giving my storyline and my books the attention that I need. And I hope that I am not rambling too terribly much, but I hope that as writers you understand that the passion that you have for these people that you've created out of nothing, for the world that you have created. And I hope that these videos inspire you to continue to write, not to give up. And I hope that you have a great weekend and you stay safe and have a good week. And hopefully I'll be able to put out another video next Saturday morning before I get to go off on another adventure. So stay safe, keep writing, and have a good weekend.